My client manifested a $40,000 debt to go away, and she did it in a quite effortless way. In this video, I want to share with you what the circumstance was, sort of, and what she did in order to manifest and how it unfolded. This is one of those situations where you have a quite tricky circumstance in the 3D, and if you would have to deal with it in the 3D, it could have been even trickier. And this manifestation success story is a great example of why you need to stick with your mental work and let it unfold. Things do unfold in the 3D. So if you are in a situation like this where you have a circumstance and you don't know what to do about it, stick with manifestation, and in a moment you will see why. If you need a more personalized help with your manifestations, you can book a coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. I would love to help you with anything that you are currently manifesting. And also check out my courses. The links are in the description box below. Of course, if you have questions about my courses or coaching or anything, just drop a comment down below and let's talk. So she, again, as I said, manifested a $40,000 debt to go away, and it was her husband's debt. I have no idea if this debt was present when they met, or what the story is behind the debt, but I know that what I know about this is that she told me this was her husband's debt, and they are in a situation where she was manifesting a new home, moving, etc., etc., and this debt was quite in the way and they needed to get rid of it. And she, as a conscious manifestor, of course, started to work with her mind. Now, what I'm going to share with you first what we did, and then how things unfolded in the 3D. So, if you have been following my channel, I always say, do what works for you, because every manifestation is different and every person is different. And even for you, as one person, all your manifestations can be different. So, for some people, it works to apply the same thing the same way for all manifestations. For some other, it doesn't work like that. So therefore, when I'm working with a client, I am always trying to find something, a solution that fits the person, both the situation they are in and their daily life. If you're super busy, your manifestation routine may look very different compared to someone who has all day to do whatever they want. In a situation like this, I would ask the client, what do you want? What do you want out of this? Her main goal was to get rid of this debt. However it happened, it didn't matter. So she wasn't manifesting money in order to pay it off, which is also possible. This would be the logical thing to do, I guess, right? How many of you would think that in order to pay off get rid of a debt, you would manifest money? But our mind doesn't always work with logic. So if you're in a situation like this, what I would suggest is to try out different affirmations, see what works for you, see what resonates. So this is what she did. She chose to, the thing that worked for her was sticking with a generic solution solving affirmation, and she affirmed that this will solve somehow this will get solved. I will get a solution to this. This is working out in my favor. And I have made a couple of videos about this where I talk about when you have a situation you don't know what to do about, start affirming something like this. It's always working out in my favor. It has already worked out in my favor. And so this is what she did. This is what we said that let's start with this, and then as a result, if a more precise affirmation comes up, you affirm that, or you get a different idea that this is exactly what I want, this is the specific thing that I want out of this. You affirm that, or you imagine that. That's not a problem. But in order to start somewhere, this was the best place for her to start. So this is what she affirmed. What happened is that they contacted some professionals, and they received some guidance. And what happened was that they contacted two lawyers. First, they talked to one of them and learned that in their country there's some law for people for up to, if they have up to $30,000 debt, or the equivalent of the $30,000 debt, the debt gets cancelled in some situations. And they figure out that they could easily be in that situation, in that group of people where this law applies, but their debt was over 30 or very close to, or over 40 even, $1,000. And so this wasn't going to apply to them. They go to another lawyer in order to get a second opinion. They hear the same thing, that the law is that in order to have your debt cancelled, it should have been up to 30,000, and yours is 40, so can't be done. And during all this time, going to one lawyer, learning that it can't be solved, going to the next lawyer, learning that it can't be solved because of this, because of that. This whole time, my client kept her mental diet, continuously coming back to the affirmation that this has a solution and it has been solved. There is a solution. This has been solved. It has worked out, etc. And the whole time, her husband is freaking out. She's keeping her mental diet. Continuously coming back to the fact that there, of course, is a solution and this has been solved. What happened is that they contact another professional and they figure out all of a sudden that the law has changed very recently, and now it's not up to $30,000, but up to $50,000. And got their debt cancelled literally like that. That you apply and the debt is poof, gone, without manifesting money, without working hard. And I asked her, literally out of curiosity, who pays this debt? Like, if you have something has to pay it. She didn't even know that. She said, I really have no idea. I don't know if it's the government. I don't know if it's some fundings. I have no idea where the money comes from. We only know that our debt is gone. So everything has a solution, even if the problem seems very big. And in the 3D, if we had to look at this with completely like 3D old way of looking at it, this would be a problem. And her husband not being so much into manifestation, of course she manifests and her husband knows about this, but he isn't practicing it the way she is. He was freaking out. And she, knowing that somehow my mind is going to find a solution to this, I don't know how. She didn't have a solution. She didn't have an idea. And the solution came after being rejected twice by professionals that know this stuff. You go to a professional, they say something, you believe them because they have the education, they should know what they're talking about. And she kept her mental diet. That's literally the most important thing you can do. So even if something feels like a huge monster, your mind knows how to deal with it. Stick with manifestation. Go talk to the professionals. Even in when you are dealing with health problems, I always say, go to the doctor, talk to the doctor, get medical advice, do your treatments, but keep your mental diet, do your mental work, because this is what is going to get you your results. So I hope this story inspired you guys to stay on track, keep persisting, even if whatever circumstance you have in front of you seems unsolvable, impossible. Also, because I have to mention that both her and her husband, or neither her or her husband, are making enough money to be able to pay a debt like this. So the money, the salary they have was never going to pay off this debt. So it was quite an impossible, we know that it's not possible, but from the 3D circumstances, it would have been completely impossible. His parents are not making the money or to help. Her parents are not making the money to help. They don't come from a rich background. And they are currently, of course, she's manifesting money. She has manifested many things, but this has been probably one of the biggest of her manifestations. So your mind will always find the solution. Stick to your affirmations, stick to your end goal, and if you don't have an end goal in a situation like this where I don't know how I want to solve this, I just want to not have this problem, affirm that it has already been solved. It worked out in my favor. This has already been solved. I use this affirmation a lot myself, especially with stuff that I don't want to deal with, like not important, or even regarding my manifestations. And this is, I suggest you take this affirmation, just have it at the back of your mind. For your specific manifestations, when sometimes stuff happens that you just like, no, I don't want to deal with this. This is not my end goal. I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting the 3D circumstance the way it is. It has already been solved. It has already been solved. It has worked out in my favor. This has been solved in my favor. Perfect solution, etc., etc. Because things manifest. So once again, if you happen to need a more personalized help with your manifestations, you can book a coaching session with me from the link in the description box below. Also check out my courses. The links are all in the description box below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. And see you in the next video.